All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Today's discussion centers around the research commissioned by Dell and Verizon in collaboration with ESG, exploring AI at the endpoint, the impact of AI and end users and endpoint devices. Sorry, that's a mouthful. This 2025 study gathered insights from 750 business professionals, including IT leaders overseeing endpoint environments and knowledge workers who integrate AI into their daily workflows. Our session will highlight key findings from the research, such as how organizations are approaching the early adoption of AI on endpoint devices. A major part of today's conversation will focus on the pivotal role of 5G in accelerating these innovations, driving improvements in speed, efficiency, and real world AI adoption. But before we get started, I'm just going to run through some very quick housekeeping. I'm sure you see the Elevate logo for some of you joining the webinar today. This is our very first Elevate webinar. We combined Elevate user group and Dell Technologies user group into one big user group to give you all the information we possibly can. So it's super exciting. Thanks for being part of the first one. I'm not sure I broke that to all of our speakers in advance. So speakers, you guys are the very first ones for this new community, which is very exciting. Cool. And then this is a Zoom webinar. Please note that this webinar is being recorded. And then your questions, we are going to get to all of the questions at the end. So please put them in the Q&A section or in the chat. We will be monitoring that throughout. So if there's something perfect that needs to be mentioned right in the middle of the webinar, we will, or we will save all of them for the end. But without further ado, that's all I really have other than the quick plug for our survey, but you hear me say that every time. So I'm going to pass it off to our speakers because you're not here to listen to me. Gabe, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Yeah, great to be on the first combined webinar. That's exciting. Um, Hi everyone, my name's Gabe Knuth, and in addition to fighting a springtime cold from various conferences, I'm sure, I'm the digital workspaces analyst with Enterprise Strategy Group, which is part of Omdia and Informa TechTarget nowadays. Today I'm joined by Maria Renton Abu and Ryan Johnson from Dell, as well as Marissa Wilkins from Verizon Business. And like Jack said, we're going to talk about some research that we all worked on together into how end users are using AI at the endpoint, which includes services and products and tools that people are using, and AI PCs and things like that. Before we get in, and since there's so many of us, though, I think I want to go around the horn and have you guys introduce yourself. So, Maria, we'll start with you. Uh, Tell us
Yeah,
about yourself and your role at Dell.
yeah, sure thing. Hey, everyone. So I am the global messaging lead for AI client software and solutions here at Dell Technologies. So everything AI PC, that AI within your desk, I touch, I message, and I market. So I will pass it over to Ryan.
Thank you, Maria. Ryan Johnson. I am a product manager at Dell focusing on 5G PC initiatives, and particular to this is how that 5G and AI story comes together.
Awesome. And Marissa.
I'll conclude. Thanks. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Marissa Wilkins, part of the Verizon Business Group, responsibility for our end-to-end product strategy and partnerships with the great connected laptop manufacturers like Dell.
Awesome. Well, really fantastic to have you all on here. You know your spaces really well, and I think that we're gonna have a great conversation here about some of the stuff that we learned in the research, but also some of our own personal experiences with AI PCs, the need for connectivity, and so on. As we know, AI takes lots of shapes, right? It can be AI chatbots, ChatGPT and Gemini and Copilot. It's the AI PCs. There's shadow AI that may who knows how if our conversation will go into that direction or not. It was certainly the backroom pre-session conversation. But before we get started, or before we get to the AI PC component here, I kind of want to establish the baseline that just AI is already everywhere. Um, in fact, most of the early days of generative AI were cloud-based connected workloads that were, based on AI services as opposed to, or AI cloud services as opposed to local AI hardware. And that's where the research actually started, with what tools and services people are deploying today. And the responses showed amazing adoption rates. Almost three-quarters of the respondents said that they use and this was of ITDMs in this particular question. Almost three-quarters of ITDMs said that they deploy officially ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot to their users. That's, I think, a ridiculously high adoption number for something so new. Um, there were other things too. Microsoft 365 Copilot, Windows 11 Copilot, assisted code development, customer service tools, meeting assistants. All of these things were in already widespread adoption, which I thought was uh, I thought that was great to see from a like I'm a nerd, so from a nerd perspective, but also kind of crazy from an enterprise IT perspective. These things that we have to deal with. So before we even get started, let's throw up a poll and ask you in the audience what AI services and applications you use on a regular basis. And while they're answering, maybe we'll go around the horn. So let's see, Marissa, let's start with you. Like, can share how you use AI on a regular basis, how it affects your job.
Absolutely. So for my role, it could be something as simple as email response suggestions. And while the AI keeps getting better at sounding more and more like my own personal responses would be, I still think we have room to improve. I've also been using cloud-based AI chatbot tools recently for product development and marketing SEO research. So as I'm looking at how the competitive market is doing in different product categories that I manage, or maybe I want to come up with a headline for a flyer, kind of using those types of tools just to brainstorm what folks like yourselves are looking for in the market when you want to find the research I'm putting together.
Maria, Ryan, anything to add there?
No, I feel like we use all of the same things. I've started dabbling on local AI. There are some software out there that you can download and effectively have, a Llama 3 on your PC. So again, we'll deep dive on that a little bit more. But yeah, there are certain components there that you have to have. Like you have to have an AI PC or you have to have a powerful AI PC that can handle those workloads. But same. We've used a lot here at Dell. We've used a lot of marketing apps that was provisioned by the company, and we also have applications running on-prem. So it's a mix of things.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
me,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's been a game changer, a lifesaver, being able to use it on collaboration tools. If you're anything like me, you're in way too many meetings and keeping track of, hey, what's the action items? What I really care about from this meeting? Having the ability to do the transcriptions, have good, clear, actionable items that are relevant to the conversation. That's been extremely helpful, just staying more organized with all the different meetings that I'm part of.
I wish we had a video of everyone that experienced meeting summaries for the first time. That would be fun reel.
For me, that would be a shifting set of emojis. That's like the happy face one and then the wide-eyed scared one. And like, no,
Yeah.
no, that wasn't my action item. That was Dave's action item, not Gabe's. Um, for me, it's like a title machine, right? Like titles are my kryptonite. So, and I do a lot of writing, but I can't write an SEO optimized title to save my life. And so I can just be like, here's my article or whatever. Like, what's the title for this thing? And but I always want like 10 suggestions. So it's never right the first time. But okay, can we show those poll results? I don't actually know how to do that. Okay, cool. Um, all right, so about a little over half are using cloud-based AI chatbots, the ChatGPT and so on. Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot's up at the same. Windows 11 Copilot is a little under half. Um, Quite a bit lower for some of the other ones, but that's not bad. That's those uh, those aren't the same as what I saw for the research. Definitely the top three are the same top three. Um, but really, this is each individual person here on this webinar. Whereas I was asking at an organizational level. So if just one person used it, they would have said yes. So yeah, really interesting to see that. Cool. Thanks for participating there. We've got a couple other ones, I think, too, just to kind of take the temperature of the room. Um, Okay, so now that we've got that baseline, let's look at AI PCs in general, or AI PCs, because we just talked about AI in general, and we know that that's in widespread use. Um, AI PCs have been in the market for just about a year. In fact, I think it was at Dell Tech World last year when we first started hearing about Copilot Plus PCs and things like that. So like we really are like right at a year for AI PCs being in the world. Um, let's first establish what is an AI PC from Dell's perspective. I mean, we've all heard of them, right? But like when Dell defines an AI PC, what do you mean? And
Yeah,
we'll
I
toss
can
them over to
take
you.
I can take that question, Gabe. So at Dell, we define AI PC as a device that has a designated AI chip. So what does that mean? So it either has the new PC architecture, so it doesn't just have a CPU and GPU, but an NPU as well. The neural processing unit is the new kid in the block, and or it can be a workstation or a high performance AI PC with a discrete GPU. So that's how we define it at Dell. It needs to have, to be an AI PC, you have to have a designated AI accelerator or chip.
And that's basically how I defined it in the research too, was like something has to be dedicated for AI workload processing because I would get questions from other people like my machine has a GPU in it. Like, does that make it an AI PC? And like maybe technically yes, but it's not, it wasn't there for the bespoke purpose of running AI workloads. So in this case, an AI PC adds in an additional component specifically for that. Um, and I realize it's semantics, right? But we have to figure out what the definition is so that then we can do, in my case, the research around it. But also it helps just kind of establish a baseline as we're all here talking about it. What I learned from the research was that 58% of organizations had already started deploying AI PCs. Another 27, 28%, I think, had deploying AI PCs in their plans. So we had an 81% interest, or 81% of people were interested or were already deploying them, which is pretty fantastic numbers given they've only been around for a year. Um, what have you guys seen from I'm curious how you see the composition of the PC market moving forward. I mean, yeah, you guys sell AI PCs now, of course, but like you also sell not a non-AI PCs. Do we see this kind of your portfolio changing as we move into the future, along with everybody, the composition of everybody else's environments too? Is it like in 4 years, is everything going to be an AI PC, or is there going to be always going to be a case for non-AI PCs?
I mean, the way Dell envisions the future is that AI capabilities are certainly integral to personal computing. I think the world of everything will be an AI PC is going to come in sooner or later. I mean, Michael Dell said it himself. I think by the next year, AI PCs will start to become pretty standard, especially
Mhm.
with the Windows 10 end of support coming in October this year.
Good
That's
point.
what we're positioning. We're seeing that a lot of software vendors are moving into integrating AI within their applications. And with that, you will need a device that can run that certain features that needs that PC accelerator, that needs that AI PC accelerator. Because non-AI PCs, it's kind of like the experience of the first time that you're running an AI app on your 5-year-old computer, and suddenly when you open it, everything else shuts down. That's the
Hmm.
experience that you're going to need. But it's not, what we're saying too is that it's not just about AI. An AI PC also gives several benefits because of that NPU, that because of that chip. What it does is the workloads that you run in your PC, it has another chip to offload to. So things that you'll see is 24-hour battery life, just faster performance, all of
As
this
things start
more.
to take advantage of that, yeah.
Exactly, more secure, all of that good stuff.
Let's ask another poll here. Let's see how many of you on this webinar are already using an AI PC. Can you throw that poll up? Um, I'll tell you from the while we're answering that from a research perspective, we asked how companies were rolling it out. So we know, there was a lot of interest in them, and some, more than half had already started deploying them. So we asked about how companies were rolling this out, whether it was a comprehensive rollout where they were just rolling them out simultaneously across the whole organization, and or whether they were deploying them to specific use cases, or if they were just doing it as part of their refresh cycle. It was spread out evenly across all of these different scenarios. So identifying, kind of on an on-demand basis or an ad hoc basis, it didn't matter. Nothing seemed to be winning out. It was just people were interested and they're deploying them when they have the opportunity to. This is a pretty simple question, so I bet we can call it quits on this now, and see what the results are. Um, all right, so we got well, it's almost 50-50, like I am or hope to be, and then I am not. So, but a third of people are already using it. So I'd love to if you have any comments on how you're using it or something like that, go ahead and feel free to throw them into the chat, and we'll try to keep an eye on that as we go along. We also plan to do a Q&A at the end of this, by the way, so feel free to ask questions as well. Uh, okay, so let's look at the benefits and the use cases of AI PCs. Um, and I want to be careful because the AI PC benefits are very similar to the AI overall benefits. Um, but the cloud-based AI benefits don't necessarily need AI PCs. And so that's where like the 5G connectivity story comes in too. So like an AI PC to truly take advantage of all the different AI capabilities that are out there, not only do you need that local discrete AI accelerator, but to be constantly connected, you're going to need to have the 5G connectivity as well. Um, so, so Marissa, I'll invite you to jump in here anytime you want to pull that into discussion, because I think it's really important, especially when you look at the benefits of AI PCs, which from the research is reported as improved end user productivity, faster data processing and analysis, improved search capabilities, enhanced security, improved like those top four are all require some sort of connectivity as well. There are some offline capabilities, some faster response times and things like that, but like really we need we need both things. We need local processing and the connectivity to pull all this off.
Absolutely. And the greatness is that we're already seeing the benefit when US companies invest in connectivity. 96% of respondents in a Verizon survey did see improvements to overall employee productivity when they invested. So investing in connectivity with a 5G laptop is the same as if you would procure other tablet form factors, but now you're getting everything all in one device, getting those great AI features, applications that keep your business running, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Zoom, like we're on today. Adding that layer of cellular connectivity just levels up all of those benefits that you described, Gabe, of an AI PC, whether it's the security of a mobile network that is SIM authenticated, so you know who's joining the network and can monitor data usage that way, or the productivity of being able to work in places that you traditionally couldn't. We're also seeing benefits to employee satisfaction. Not all organizations can afford or choose to subsidize employee smartphones. And so they might be asking employees to use their own personal hotspot plans to get their work done when they don't have a Wi Fi connection, or allowing them to connect to a potentially unsecure public Wi Fi, which no one wants to hear. So getting them investing in this solution means that they're going to be productive, happier employees, and improving the overall cybersecurity posture for an organization.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like in order to achieve these outcomes that we're seeing emerge, I think we need that whole big picture. Um, the Something else that stuck out to me was the benefits that people are reporting now and the success factors that they use to kind of measure whether or not their AI PC investment was a good investment are becoming more clear. If you remember last year, the early things that were demonstrated they're used to show the power of an AI PC were, gee whiz kinds of things, gesture recognition and the real-time translation and some search and some things like that, but or like audio video touch-ups, that kind of a thing. And I'm not saying those weren't valuable, but it was hard to ascribe actual like tangible value to them. Now, the research is showing among those benefits, things like a reduction in IT support tickets, increased employee productivity, improved content quality, improved content quantity, and things like that. All things that are more easy to ascribe actual value to justify, refreshing PCs or an investment in the tools that leverage this hardware. Again, I think connectivity is just another one of those things. Like we need to invest in that to drive these workloads or to drive these benefits.
Absolutely. And I think, Gabe, you and Maria had touched on it already. We're still in that transition phase between cloud-based applications and on-device AI features. So while the hardware is evolving to accelerate the AI applications, most of the workflows we do still require cloud connectivity, which is where having that 5G connection is really important, whether it's accessing shared drives, hosting virtual meetings. All of these basic tools still require connectivity of some variety, and that's where Verizon powered Dell PCs can really come into play.
Exactly.
Curious.
I
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
too that a lot of it is going to not just like not everything will completely live in the cloud, and not a lot of it will completely live on device. It's going to be a mix of both. We're seeing, popular vendors such as, Microsoft Copilot. All of Copilot is in a mix of things like Copilot plus PCs have on-device AI experience, but you still need 5G connectivity to access the actual Windows on Copilot features. So it's going to be a mix of things because your data is going to be living in many different platforms.
And Maria, I think we've even seen that with internal use cases at Dell, right? Like we have some tools that use the on-device AI capabilities and some that depend on that cloud-based application. So we have things like an internal tool for our sellers, right? Because as they're trying to get up to speed on how to position different things to people, there's a lot of information for them to access, and making it really easy with on-device AI to quickly query and get the information they need. But at the same time, we have other tools like collaboration apps or like marketing tools. Maria, I think you had mentioned in a previous conversation that are going to depend on that cloud-based AI application to be functional.
And I can
Absolutely.
see using it in my context too as a research analyst, not wanting to maybe put our IP, our research into a cloud-based service, but having all these things locally on the device and being able to query against them as if they were entities, on the device and be like, all right, now pull out the relevant research related to, XYZ topic. There are definitely security or DLP kind of minded use cases there. Sorry, you're going to say something, Maria?
Oh, no, no. I was just going to add to that. Yes, because like a lot of in different pockets of the organization, we're using apps that are sometimes cloud-based, but when I talk to certain developers, engineers, they're using on-device apps, to secure their code, to secure IP, as you said. So definitely, as we move on into the future in the next couple of months, we'll see that kind of environment materialize where an application will have different features that are living in the cloud and then living on device or on-prem.
There is there's another thing, and I'll kind of use it as a transition into our next topic too. Is and our next topic would be like the challenges of AI PCs. But we start to endpoint security, really the intersection of endpoint management and security is where I spend a lot of my time. And of course, these new machines have new processes and then new workloads that can be running on them, and so this is becoming increasingly important in the endpoint security worlds too. Um, but from a benefits perspective, there's companies that are building endpoint security tools to leverage the NPU so that they can use the models that they train on, that they train their own endpoint security tools and models on back at like, well, ESET is one of the companies I'm thinking of, back in their headquarters, they train a model and then they usually have to recompile it into machine code and send it down to their customers where it runs on the CPU. Now they just ship it down basically natively so that it runs on the local NPU. And so that means they can ship out updates faster, but they also are able to do it more efficiently on the endpoint. And they're not the only ones doing it. And really anybody that works within Intel's framework can take advantage of this. But here's an example of a real world use case that affects everybody that AI PCs are helpful with. They're helping with endpoint security. And Ryan, you actually shared with me a story about how it's helping with endpoint management as well. And I'd love it if you shared that here.
Yeah, and I think is we look at this environment that's getting more complex and harder to manage, right? The ability to have persistent connectivity on that device to make sure you can always see what's happening, you always have a connection to push updates, to et cetera, becomes more and more important. So you don't have to rely on, hey, is the device on Wi-Fi or not, right? Is it you can just have that persistent connectivity. So, hey, I need to push an update. I can push an update. I can see what's going on that device. And it adds an extra layer of ease for the IT admin to be able to make sure that that device is up to date.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Dell has other things that help address some of the challenges here of having these devices. It's not even, let me back up a little bit. The challenges around AI PCs are not earth-shattering type of things. They are mostly related to the fact that it's a new kind of device out there, right? And so it's more uncertainty than challenge in a lot of ways. There may be some things with like AI model security and integrity. If we're running these things locally, we probably need to know how to manage and secure and detect the anomalies in local running models and that kind of a thing. And there's some like general lack of AI ops knowledge, but again, these are just because this is all relatively new to us. So when I like what you just say, for me, that's like a visibility story. That means that we're able to see to keep a constant eye on things. That way we can keep things managed, but we can also, ensure that we know what's going on these machines all the time. Um, the from Dell's perspective, and actually, you know what, kind of a blanket question to you guys, to all of you. How are you helping customers as they start on their AI journey? Because the data that I have shows that customers really do look to vendors, their strategic vendors for assistance taking on how to best embark on AI. Um, Maria, I'm thinking of Dell Services, so I'm thinking of Maria for this
Yeah,
one.
no, for
So I'll tag you first, but Marissa, you're coming. I'm coming to you next.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we have spoken with different customers throughout this whole year, and then some of them are really early adopters. Some of them they know what kind of device they want, and they have an intention to deploy like certain applications that they've already built. But some are in stage one. What is an AI PC? What do I need? Why is this good for me? So it's really across the board. So if you're in the beginning of your AI journey, we have Dell Professional Services. We're actually having a half-day workshop to have an AI expert come in and help your company strategize. So currently we're offering that service for free. So, feel free to reach out to your favorite Dell representative there. But at the moment, you said it, Gabe, we're AI PCs is about like a little over a year old. We're still learning. Software vendors are still building their AI apps or adding to it.
Mhm.
But it's coming, and it's coming faster than we've ever dreamed. Like the other day, I think last year, I still remember like my face of awe when um when an app came out that's able to generate podcasts, and the speakers sound real. They
Mhm.
were jesting with each other and interrupting each other. It's so real, and if I didn't know that it was an AI app, I wouldn't have thought it would be at that quality at that point.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Marissa, I want to ask you, but before that, I want to throw up a poll real quick. And I want to ask the audience how they provide alternate connectivity to mobile users. I see in the chat talking about using hockey pucks, the mobile hotspots. I'm assuming I've never actually heard the term hockey puck before, to deploy to end users, but it could be mobile hotspots or tethering, that kind of a thing. So while that's going on, Marissa, curious to you too. I'm assuming people come to you like saying, yeah, asking how Verizon can help move their AI journey along as well.
Yeah, so right now, in this market, Verizon is really focused on being the connectivity backbone for all of the features that Dell and Microsoft are enabling on AI PCs. Where our mobile security index survey last year found that over 25% of respondents report Wi-Fi based mobile device attacks. And now those mobile devices include laptops. Lots of IT infrastructure has traditionally treated laptops differently, segregated them from an IT management perspective, from a deployment and lifecycle management perspective. But with the evolution of AI PCs powered by 5G, we're seeing more and more demand to treat laptops the same that you would another smartphone or tablet when it comes to device management, deployment to employees, et cetera, and getting that secure connectivity enabled. When it comes to solutions and why customers we recommend to invest in the laptop hardware instead of something like a traditional mobile hotspot is that now it is easier for IT managers. Again, Ryan talked about the benefits from the actual laptop endpoint, but if you think about the traditional jetpack form factor, those can be a little difficult to monitor who's got the asset at any one time. If there's a
Mm,
data overage issue, how do I know which employee is holding that device at this time? Versus laptops, you've got logins, you're dedicated, you know who that employee is, you know where they're connecting from at any one time. And so it's combining all of that functionality into one streamlined device from a management, deployment, and connectivity perspective for users. No longer are they juggling just simply charging multiple devices. Now they can stay focused on the device that helps them get their job done, and may even eliminate. No, I guess I couldn't say it. I shouldn't say that from a Verizon perspective. Never mind. We'll leave it at that. There's benefits to employees to get that all-in-one workstation with connectivity that is reliable and secure.
Yeah, I mean, that well said. Let's see the results of our poll here, because I'm scared that there's going to be a lot of public Wi-Fi. But thankfully it's not. So the built-in LTE and 5G is just under 30%. So, and that's actually I feel like a lot higher than it would have been a few years ago. So I think people are seeing the value there, and obviously mobile hotspots were king for a long time. So no surprise to see them still in widespread use. Honestly, tethered to smartphone, that's the way that I've historically done it, though, as we're talking here, I need it all the time. So why, it'd be nice if it was built in. So maybe that's the next time around, maybe
Mhm.
I'll push for that kind of thing. Um, One of the things that I noticed was that let me see if I can find the data point here real quick. Um, the people actually said that they had seen an uptick in the need for 5G connectivity as a result of AI PCs or AI being in the market. Because it's not even just like we've been talking about, it's not an AI PC story as much as it is an AI in general story. When we rely on these services more, kind of regardless of where they're coming from, we need connectivity. And even if we do have stuff running locally, it might be pulling, doing what it can locally, but also referring back to the cloud sort of in a hybrid way when it needs to backfill. Um, and so we need that connectivity all the time. And so we definitely see an uptick in the need for this alternate connectivity because of AI. So good news for Verizon, I guess. But really good news for us all because once you have this and you're just always connected, it's effortless and kind of amazing. And you never think about, oh crap, do I have enough battery left to tether with? Or my mobile hotspot, is it charged? Or where are all my USB-C cables and adapters? Um, so that kind of leads me to the to our final topic here, which is We see a lot of interest in AI PCs. We see some emerging applications. There's not a ton yet, but the list is growing, and as more are deployed and we get to a certain critical mass, we're going to start to see more apps being deployed. Microsoft is doing what they can to help people take advantage of their local models. Um, Everybody's doing something. I shouldn't just single out Microsoft there. Like Maria, you mentioned Llama before, and there's everywhere you look, you can find something that you can try to run locally. Um, Point is, there's a lot of activity in this space. One of the key data points that stuck out to me was that 80% of organizations have accelerated their refresh cycles because of the AI PCs entering the market. That's and the question I asked was specifically about AI PCs because I know that there's also the Windows 11 migration and things like that that are sort of that are putting pressure on organizations to deploy new machines, but AI in particular is having an effect on that. Um, I see this as even with workloads still emerging, I see this as future proofing, laying a foundation for what we expect to see coming out in the next year or two or three when we get to the point where more than half of the devices out there are AI PCs. Um, what do you guys see? Is that how you see it too? I mean, I see Dell's portfolio expanding. Is that in response to this? I assume yes, but
No,
we'll go to Maria.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely designing the portfolio to fit market demands. That's why you'll see from a processor perspective, we've expanded there. But the main thing too is simplification. We have designed our portfolio to really be straightforward to the customers, where you just see Dell for work and play, and then Dell Pros for your professional commercial market, and Dell Pro Max for those creators, designers, for those really using those heavy workload applications. You've spoken about ISVs, and actually, like compared to last year, there's a 300% jump of software apps out there that are now utilizing the new PC architecture. And that data was taken, I think, like in the middle of the year, like a month or two ago. So we will continue to see that jump, and it's moving pretty quickly. And you've mentioned that there's lots of AI toolkits out there that's enabling companies to, create their own AI apps. Marissa has spoken about, certain applications that they're using that, starts to get to know the user and be able to respond in a certain way. So you'll see that happening, which is why, a simplified, diversified AI PC portfolio is what Dell is offering in the market.
I'm looking forward to seeing Dell Tech World is next week, and I'm looking forward to
Yes.
going there and especially walking around on the expo hall floor to see. I mean, last year the demos were cool, and it was like day one of the AI PC era, so I can't imagine, what's going to be there this year.
Oh, there's
Um,
going to be lots. Yeah, it's going to be an
yeah,
exciting.
and I
Yeah.
and I suppose this is where this is why there's so much activity on the alliances and the connectivity front. And like Ryan, your job is on the alliances side of Dell, specifically working with Verizon. So I think you probably have a pretty good view of how that landscape is evolving.
Yeah, and I think as you look at that portfolio of AI PCs, one of the things that Dell has done is given the ability and capability to add a 5G modem on the majority of those commercial platforms. So when you're looking at what is the next AI PC that I want to buy, you're going to have an option to include that 5G connectivity. And then we also try to make it easy for you. How am I going to activate service on this device? We have a partnership with Verizon, for example, to streamline that process for you so you can get the device, get those capabilities, and get the 5G service working really easily. So I think it is an important component of that portfolio and roadmap of devices, and it's going to continue to be that way.
And I Yeah, well, we've talked about this a lot already from the Verizon perspective, but I mean, having this connectivity on all the time is going to help from an accessibility standpoint, from an employee productivity standpoint, from a creativity standpoint, but also again part of that future proofing where we can just we don't have to worry about the user being down or disconnected. Obviously, if they're on an airplane or something, it's a different story. But Marissa, I think, how do you see the business growing, or the capabilities that Verizon has or can help enable growing here into the future?
Absolutely. So Verizon really is focused on continuing to make partnerships, whether it is Microsoft M365 licenses or our new network security assets that we can help deploy to these and other mobile devices. We're already seeing the benefits for our own internal employees, myself included. The PC I'm calling from today is 5G connected, and it meant that, hey, if I need to take my work on the go or there's a disruption in my home internet connectivity, there's no downtime. I'm not scrambling to connect to a hotspot or worried about putting the company at security risk. Instead, I can just switch connectivity options. And even one of the things that we have seen deployed is that once you have 5G option, you don't need Wi-Fi anymore. Through mobile device management and features like Intune or applications like Intune, you can block Wi-Fi connectivity in its entirety.
Mhm.
So if that is part of your security posture, you can take that action now through Verizon 5G connected PCs.
Yeah, it gives you more flexibility in that way. It gives you, I mean, more options, more controls when you need them from a security perspective, and like we said, from a management perspective too. You can make sure that updates are pushed as needed and not wait for the machine to come back online, if it was just Wi-Fi connected. And I shiver every time I, like, go to an airport and see free public Wi-Fi, that kind of a thing. So, I've even been in places where, like at a hotel, where their SSID is the wrong capitalization from what it used to be or what it should be normally. And I'm like, man, is this legit, or is this somebody with you know, what's those devices, Wi-Fi pineapple or whatever, sitting there? Like, there's been plenty of times when I've wished I had some sort of alternate means of connectivity. So, yeah, and like I said, as we need the connectivity more, that becomes all the more important. Uh, we are 42 minutes into this conversation. I've seen a lot of questions come up in the Q&A. There's been some good discussion in the webinar chat. Um, I feel like I feel like we've said what we needed to say. I don't this discussion has been fascinating. I feel like we could go in a bunch of other areas too. But I kind of want to turn it over to Q&A. Do you have any parting thoughts before we turn it over to the audience and see what they're asking? Anybody? All right. Okay. Let's see. Let's use the Q&A feature instead of the webinar chat. So if you have questions, go ahead and throw them into the Q&A. Keep an eye on the chat though, whoever can spare an eyeball. And just in case there's something there, or if there's something that came in earlier that we want to address. But I'll look over the Q&A, and the first one I see here from Kathy says, endpoint security is a problem on AI PC. We run Python on web and we're using WebNN through port 80 data. I'm scared now that these questions are going to be super technical. You've got marketing people on the phone. Um, but there's no tools to monitor these things. Um, you're right. This was discussed at RSA. This topic in general was discussed at RSA, about how we deal with all of these different workloads that are running. Honestly, we are early on in this. And you couldn't, walking through the halls at RSA, you couldn't avoid model poisoning, or AI agents and things like that. We're very early into that. And so things like WebNN from Microsoft are helping us start to come to grips with this. But this is the challenge of being in a rapidly evolving and emerging space. So I wish I had some sort of sage wisdom for you, other than we just have to keep the pressure on our vendors. Um, anybody else have any thoughts on that? Um, so let's see, what else do we have here? I don't know if you guys are looking too. If you see something interesting, shout it out. How are software stacks evolving to take full advantage of the specialized chips like these NPUs? Um, Maria, I don't know. I shared one earlier about how endpoint security is starting to, they're shipping the models to run natively on the local NPU, as opposed to compiling them so that they run
Yeah.
in machine code. What other areas have you seen
I've seen
with
it done
partners.
in yeah, I've seen it done in content creation. I
Mhm.
don't think in terms of like verticals that it's specific. Like
I agree.
every app is currently integrating AI features within their software, and they're wanting to fully utilize the NPU. And it's because for a couple of reasons. Number one is it's really the way the NPU is designed. It's designed to be more efficient. So you can be running, heavy AI apps on device, and a traditional PC, you probably have like 40 minutes to an hour until your PC shuts down. I have a powerful workstation. If I'm unplugged, I don't have an NPU on it, but when I'm unplugged, I have about an hour and a half, 2 hour tops before my PC shuts down. And NPU prevents that with about a 24 plus hours of battery life. That's what it's providing, is that efficiency. That's why applications are moving to really design their software for the new PC architecture. Yeah, as I said earlier, I don't think it's going to be vertical specific. It's just going to be the new standard.
Marissa, do you see any vertical specificity, or is it pretty widespread, evenly spread across different verticals?
Far as the need for 5G goes, it's multiple verticals, but I would describe it more as use case based.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is, the organizations who are really focused on cybersecurity, legal, finance, healthcare, those types of industries really benefit from offloading to 5G instead of relying on Wi-Fi. Maybe it's, remote field employees in the utilities sector or healthcare workers that need to transfer large medical data files over 5G, and facilitate telehealth visits. Now we're seeing the deployment of 5G, and I know Verizon and Dell have done a large partnership around the healthcare sector as well. That's a lot of the places that we see it, but also think of like back to the all-in-one concept. Maybe your organization is focused on your customer service center, and those employees, you're not going to give them a phone because their job is to call in via virtual tools on a PC. Now, instead of relying on them to provide their own connectivity or subsidizing their home Wi-Fi, get them 5G capable hardware and connect them to a 4G, 5G network to get their work done from their chosen location where they're assigned to work as well. In the manufacturing space, the other benefit of having a 5G capable PC is that doesn't just mean public network. We also make sure that Dell's network or laptops are compatible with private networks. So we've seen this in the manufacturing facilities, more indoor, or deployment of private networks at ports from a distribution and logistics perspective. The ever evolving landscape when it comes to private networks is something that can also be addressed with this solution.
Yeah, private 5G is something that is increasingly growing on my radar too. Not something I would have thought about a couple of years ago, but absolutely something people are thinking about more nowadays. Let's see. With AI capabilities increasingly integrated directly into endpoint devices like AI PCs, how do you see this shift impacting data privacy, security, and decentralized decision making at the edge? Um, From my perspective, I see something called autonomous endpoint management coming into the lexicon for all of us, which is just more, it's really automation, right? It's dealing with all of the things that go into OS device, patch management, vulnerability remediation, end user experience, things like that. There are definitely things that we can do and maybe lever that we can do using AI and automation to help improve the user experience and maybe lighten the load on IT. Um, there, while I'm not aware of anything that specifically leverages the endpoint yet, this autonomous endpoint management world is also in its infancy, and so I expect these things to grow along together. There is an endpoint security component to it. I see other vendors out there that are doing like phishing detection that are running the models locally. So instead of shipping, say, an email up to the cloud to see if it's a phishing email or not, and then back down, they just do it locally. They can run their model locally. It's specifically tuned for phishing, and so there's no need to send that stuff off to the cloud, which reduces DLP risk and things like that too. So that's how I see people starting to use the AI capabilities. Microsoft, like I said, announced that WebNN interface back in February, I think, and I honestly, that's one of the reasons I think, or one of the things I expect to see at Dell Tech World next week is some developments based on that. I don't know if anybody has anything else to add there,
Yeah,
but that's kind of the
Just,
world as I see
just,
it.
yeah, just one quick thing too. I mean, you've mentioned one of the main things that we are seeing, the conversations we're having on the field is that, shadow AI is a big thing. How can if even developers like get in trouble, right? Because now the acquisition of PCs is not as straightforward as I'm buying, a fleet of AI PCs. Like the ITDM has to talk to their developer, to their CIO, to their CTO. What kind of AI apps are you going to be running on device? And they have to strategize around that. So one thing that we've announced last January is Dell Pro AI Studio. So Dell Pro AI Studio is a toolkit, is an AI toolkit that enables not just development of AI apps that runs on device, but also deployment and manageability of AI apps on device. So that's something that has been announced in January. We're launching it at Dell Tech World next week. So just a plug, something to really see, because that's really something that will enable AI on the AI PC.
All right, one more question from Jerome. Can you share insights into AI tablets? And I gotta tell you, in my endpoint facing world, it's PCs and laptops,
Mhm.
smartphones. Tablets are down in the third rung here, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with them, but
I
maybe
mean, does
you do?
two-in-one count? I feel like that's
Yeah.
a tablet functionality, right? Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not, yeah.
that could be. Are there, I would imagine that the tablet use case in the enterprise at least is very targeted at specific workloads. I mean, I can't see them differing from AI PCs at this point, but maybe I'm not thinking of it in the right context either. Maybe if we think of it from a mobile device perspective, um, yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that.
I'm not sure how to answer that either, but it should. If a tablet is acting like a mobile device, you should be able to share insights whether you're using the cloud or using on-device apps. So
Yeah.
I think it should be the same use case.
And I don't want to, maybe speak for Marissa, like, put a 5G card in it. Like
Yes, a little
if
bit.
it doesn't really matter, even if it's not, a Windows tablet, right? Like it still needs connectivity. So, there's, I wish I had more information to share on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can deep dive on that like another time, but we have customers in the healthcare space, Jerome, that we're working with, and they're currently building POCs of AI apps that will help with specific use cases on the healthcare field.
Mhm.
But more on that next week at Dell Technologies World.
And that you're right. I see, yeah, think of healthcare providers, correct, as a mobile device. There's, in that situation, think of mobile health. I know I see the like the mobile nurses and stuff all the time that come through that they're taking stuff with them. I live in Nebraska where I'm on the eastern part of Nebraska near Omaha, so it's an urban area, but there's 500 more miles west of me of a state that's very rural. And so mobile health kind of makes it from town to town to town to take care of things, and they need that connectivity all the time. And so they need the devices and they need that connectivity. So I can definitely see an application for them. Okay, we are right at the end of our time here. Um, we've answered all the questions. Any parting thoughts from anybody? I think it's pretty clear our enthusiasm for all of this has come through. I was just fascinated by all of these results. I'm happy to see so many people interested in AI PCs, and we know that the workloads are coming. Let's go backwards around the horn. Marissa, I'll start with you. Closing thoughts. Oop, you're on
I
mute.
couldn't find my mute button. There we go.
Surprise.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that. No, overall, thank you so much for the discussion today, guys. I think this is really, cellular connected PCs have been around for 10 plus years. But with the adoption of 5G in this space, and now with the capabilities of AI PCs, we have more of a need for this mobile connectivity solution than ever. And it really is a true replacement for Wi Fi, where I think we can all admit 4G compared to Wi Fi is really not the same user experience. 5G and the low latency and high bandwidth that it can provide really is that like for like solution that's going to enable new ways of working that we've been seeing for, can't even believe it, 5+ years now. But AI PCs now add that extra layer of intelligent technology to the ways that we get our work done.
Ryan, how about you? Are you going to tell us about 6G now since 5G's been around for 5 years?
Not yet, not yet. No, I just echo what Marissa said. We're really excited about this space and where things are going. We have a lot of options for AI PCs. We have a lot of options of those PCs that have 5G. So one invitation, reach out to your favorite Dell rep or go to our website, type in 5G. We have a landing page there that will tell you all about the devices that we have with those 5G capabilities. But we're excited about this. We're excited about our partnership with Verizon and would invite you to check it out.
Awesome. And Maria, close us out.
Yeah, no worries at all. No, same thing. What a time to be alive. What a time, the AI PC era is here. Make sure you're taking advantage of it with 5G.
Yeah, it's rare to see the something with such high expectations, such as AI and AI PCs. It's rare to see the actual experience outperform expectations. And in this instance, the data that I've seen shows just that. And so, I don't know if I don't know if I'm comfortable being like, believe the hype, because I think it's impossible to catch up with all the hype, but still, there's definitely something here. And if you're not trying, you're not looking, you're not using it, you should go out and use it. Just kick the tires and try it out. And if you are using it, Dell and Verizon and your ISVs and stuff can help figure out the best ways to apply it in your organization. So with that, thank you all for watching, participating in this. This was really great. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.